What happens when an entire island of women decides to defy the goddess of love herself? The answer lies in one of Greek mythology's most haunting tales of divine revenge and its devastating consequences. In ancient Greece, the gods demanded absolute reverence from mortals. To ignore them meant inviting catastrophe upon yourself and your loved ones. The island of Lemnos, nestled in the northern Aegean Sea, would learn this lesson in the most brutal way imaginable. Lemnos was a prosperous island kingdom, blessed with fertile lands and skilled craftsmen. The women of Lemnos were renowned throughout the Greek world for their beauty and grace. Yet despite their many blessings, they committed an unforgivable sin in the eyes of Aphrodite, the goddess of love, beauty, and desire. These women grew proud and vain. They began to believe their natural beauty surpassed even that of the immortal goddess herself. In their arrogance, they stopped making offerings to Aphrodite's temples. They ceased performing the sacred rituals that honored her divine power. They forgot to burn incense at her altars and neglected to pour wine in her name. Aphrodite watched from Mount Olympus as her worship dwindled on Lemnos. The goddess who could inspire passionate love between mortals and drive men to war over a single glance felt her divine pride wounded. No mortal could ignore her without facing consequences. No island could prosper while spurning the very force that bound families together and ensured the continuation of human life. The goddess of love devised a punishment that would strike at the very heart of what the Lemnian women valued most. If they thought themselves too beautiful to honor her, she would show them the true power of divine beauty and attraction. Aphrodite cursed every woman on the island with a terrible, repulsive odor. This wasn't merely an unpleasant smell, but a stench so overwhelming and nauseating that no man could bear to be near them. The curse penetrated their very essence, making them utterly repugnant to their husbands, fathers, and sons. At first, the women didn't understand what was happening. Their husbands began avoiding them, making excuses to leave their homes. The men of Lemnos found themselves unable to embrace their wives or even share the same rooms. The powerful attraction that had once bound couples together transformed into an insurmountable revulsion. Desperate and confused, the Lemnian men began seeking companionship elsewhere. They sailed to nearby Thrace and took Thracian women as concubines and new wives. These foreign women didn't carry Aphrodite's curse, so the men could find comfort and desire in their arms. The abandoned women of Lemnos watched helplessly as their husbands brought these foreign women back to their island. They saw their own children growing closer to their new stepmothers while avoiding their birth mothers. The social order of their entire society crumbled as families split apart and traditional bonds dissolved. Rage began to build in the hearts of the cursed women. They had lost everything they held dear. Yet they still didn't understand that their suffering stemmed from their neglect of Aphrodite. Instead, they blamed their husbands for their betrayal and the foreign women for stealing their rightful places. Queen Hypsipyle, the daughter of King Thoas and ruler of Lemnos, watched her kingdom descend into chaos. The women's anger reached a boiling point, and they began to plot revenge against those who had abandoned them. If their men preferred foreign women, then perhaps Lemnos would be better off without men entirely. On a single terrible night, the women of Lemnos rose up in coordinated fury. They murdered every male on the island, from elderly grandfathers to newborn baby boys. They killed their husbands, fathers, brothers, and sons. They slaughtered the Thracian women who had replaced them. The island that had once echoed with laughter and celebration now ran red with blood. Only Queen Hypsipyle showed mercy. She couldn't bring herself to kill her elderly father, King Thoas. Instead, she secretly helped him escape the island in a wooden chest, setting him adrift on the sea where he might find safety on distant shores. Lemnos became an island populated entirely by women. They had their revenge, but their victory felt hollow. The curse of Aphrodite remained, and their isolation was now complete. No ships approached their shores, for word spread throughout the Greek world of the terrible massacre. The women had to learn to survive entirely on their own, taking on roles traditionally held by men. For years, Lemnos remained cut off from the outside world. The women learned to farm, fish, craft weapons, and defend their island. They created a unique society where feminine power ruled supreme, Yet they lived with the constant reminder of their curse and the terrible price they had paid for their revenge. Then, fate brought salvation in an unexpected form. Jason and his Argonauts, on their quest for the Golden Fleece, needed to stop for supplies and rest. Their ship approached Lemnos, and for the first time in years, men set foot on the cursed island. Miraculously, the Argonauts didn't flee from the women's presence. The curse seemed to have weakened over time, or perhaps Aphrodite had decided that enough suffering had occurred. Queen Hypsipyle welcomed Jason and his heroes, and romantic connections began to form between the Argonauts and the Lemnian women. Jason himself fell in love with Hypsipyle, and their union symbolized the possibility of redemption and renewal. The other Argonauts also found companionship with the island's women. For the first time since Aphrodite's curse, the women of Lemnos experienced genuine affection and desire from men. The Argonauts stayed on Lemnos for nearly a year, and many children were born from these unions. The island began to repopulate with a new generation that would carry both Lemnian and heroic bloodlines. However, destiny eventually called Jason away to complete his quest for the Golden Fleece. When the Argonauts departed, they left behind pregnant women and the hope of a restored future. Hypsipyle bore Jason's twin sons, Eunice and Nebraphonus, who would grow up to become great leaders. The island slowly began to heal from its traumatic past. The story of Lemnos serves as a powerful reminder about the importance of honoring the gods and the devastating consequences of pride and neglect. It explores themes of divine justice, feminine power, and the complex dynamics between love and revenge. The tale also examines how societies can rebuild themselves even after experiencing profound trauma and loss. This myth influenced countless works of ancient literature and art. The Lemnian women became symbols of both feminine rage and resilience. Their story reminds us that even in our darkest moments, redemption and renewal remain possible. The island of Lemnos ultimately found its way back to prosperity, proving that no curse lasts forever when mortals learn to show proper respect to the forces that govern their world. For more powerful myths and legends, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Mythic Narratives Hub.